This is a response to a video by the Skeptical Atheist. Kind of a response, more of an echoing, I suspect, or an amplification, or a personal reflection on it. And it's a video you did on articulation, on the ability to say what you mean in ways that make it sound interesting, or make it sound important, or make it sound relevant, and give it some kind of authority, perhaps. And the difficulty I think all of us have in that sometimes. I can really relate to that. And sometimes I don't want to sound like I'm showing off here, but sometimes I do think I can do that. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a bit of a situation of flow, and I can feel the words kind of come out and wrap themselves around ideas in ways which are satisfying, and I can feel little kind of offshoots from the ideas that I'm talking about make links to other ideas, so I can occasionally refer to the words that somebody else has said and link what I'm saying to that, almost as if there's a kind of rhizome or a kind of a dendrite being spat out that makes these connections to the sides. I can sometimes feel that going on, kind of, and sometimes I can feel it kind of structuring itself, because I never really know what I'm going to say until I start talking, but I can sometimes kind of feel it as I'm speaking. I can feel the end approaching, or I can see the end even if it's some way ahead, and I can start arranging the elements that I want to have there, so I can kind of reach behind me in my thinking and put things up ahead, so that when I get to the end I'll be reiterating things that I passed earlier on, landmarks of ideas that I passed earlier on. So I can kind of do that, and I don't know to what extent I'm successful at that, but sometimes it feels like that's what's happening, and it's a very kind of visceral and kinesthetic sense whilst I'm doing it. Well, of course, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just feels clunky and clumsy and inchoate and messy. Quite a lot of the time it feels like that, if I'm honest. But what I think is significant, or one of the reasons why I like this YouTube channel, and one of the reasons why my YouTube channel is usually called Steam from the Half Bakery, is I guess a kind of distrust I have in that process. A distrust that I have for articulacy, or at least a vigilance around it. Maybe just mistrust is too big a word, but certainly some kind of sense of caution around it. Because certainly sometimes I'll find myself being, or a feeling that I'm being articulate. I have all this kind of visceral sense of making sense, as if I'm making sense, as if I'm doing all this kind of sculpting of the words as they come out, and laying them out in a neat path that leads to a conclusion that I've had foresight of. But sometimes whilst I'm doing that, I just think, oh, this is fake. This is what am I doing here? This is just like platting piss. There's nothing here really. It's just hand waving. It's just kind of sophistry or something. I don't know. It sometimes feels like that. When I feel like that, I think, why am I concerned that my words echo the words other people have said? Why do I like this kind of dendritic branching that I feel is happening when I'm kind of referencing what this person said in this book, or what this person said in this video? Why does that give me this feeling of confidence about what I'm doing? It's almost as if this like dendritic, sorry I keep using that word, it just sounds fantastic to say. It's almost as if this web that I feel forming around myself whilst I'm talking is also a bit of a safety net. That's that kind of an experience I have, that I feel comfortable in my language if I've got this, if I've got this wind picking up, if I've got this set of connections that I can establish. And I'm not disputing the value of accumulative knowledge, of building on the knowledge of one's predecessors, all that classical knowledge gathering and accumulation stuff. I'm not trying to undermine that as a project. Just the kind of personal sensations that come with it, I suppose. I'm not absolutely convinced that articulacy is necessarily a sign of intelligence, and feeling articulate isn't necessarily a mark that you're expressing anything intelligent. Or anything particularly, this is going to sound terribly old-fashioned and humanist, or necessarily kind of human, of human significance, I guess. Certainly one of the things that I find, and which I guess you find in things like the talking cure in psychoanalysis, is the better I am at, or the more capable I feel, I should say, at articulating certain things, quite often the less emotionally embedded I am within them. It's a bit like that whole unweaving the rainbow thing, you know what I mean? If you can explain the rainbow, I think it's Keats who said this, he was concerned that the progress of science in explaining phenomena like the rainbow would kind of unweave their magic, and we wouldn't be able to experience them in quite the same way. And I think it's overstated, but I think it's only partially overstated, because certainly I do feel that. I feel much more kind of emotional and much more passionate and much more likely to act upon something if I can't articulate it very well. The better I can articulate it to myself, the more free my thinking is around it, and the more freedom of speech I give myself around it. Quite often, the less emotional I feel about it, the more disconnected I feel. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a generic thing or whether that's just a peculiarity of myself. So yeah, but all I'm saying there in response to this video of the Skeptical Atheist is that I know where you're coming from. I understand very, very well indeed that like empty, fuzzy. Well, it's not empty. It's a kind of fullness, isn't it? A fullness and a fuzziness and an uncertainty and a kind of muteness that accompanies certain ways of just being in the world, really. And the inarticulacy, which seems to be a part of that.